Dear students, welcome to our YouTube channel Vidya for Success. In this video, we will be studying CET concept on the lesson Morphology and Anatomy of Flowering Plants. Yes, our first question is Drosera catches insects by. So, Drosera is a kind of insectivorous plant. So, in this plant, leaf margin is actually get dissected to form a tentacles. Clear. So, tentacles will be having small glands. So, these glands will secrete fluid. That fluid is viscous in nature. That means that is little thick in nature. So, whenever the insects will come and roam around the Drosera leaf, the tentacles will secrete the fluid and that will helps in catching prey. So, this is how the modification can be seen in Drosera for insects catching. Let us look into the option. Option A, forming adhesive dices. Option B, bladder. Option C, pitcher. Option D, tentacles which secretes a shiny liquid. So, as I told, tentacles will be formed from the margin of Drosera to catch insects that will secrete fluid. So, the correct answer is option D. Is our second question. An example of edible underground stem is. So, in some of the plants, the stem is modified in the underground region and it is get modified just to store the food material. So, in most of the plants we can see underground stem modification. Clear, right? So, among the option we have to select which one is underground stem. So, first option carrot. So, carrot is not a stem modification, it is a root. That means taproot is get modified for storage of food. Then option B, groundnut. So, groundnut is not a stem modification, it is a kind of root modification. Then option C, sweet potato. So, sweet potato is also a root modification. Clear? Option D, potato. So, potato is a underground stem modification because the underground stem will form a number of branches and it will get swollen for the storage of food material. So, the correct answer is option D. Then the next question, example for tuberous adventitious roots is. So, when we are calling root as adventitious roots, so adventitious roots are not actually formed from the radicle. So, if the root is formed from any part of the plant other than the radicle, such a roots are named as adventitious roots. Clear? So, let us see the option. Option A, dahlia. So, dahlia is a flowering plant. It will be having adventitious roots because the roots are not directly forming from the radicle. So, small tubular roots, adventitious roots can be seen in dahlia. Then option B, carrot. So, carrot is not showing adventitious roots because here the taproot will modified itself for the storage of food. Clear. So, the carrot is showing the kind of root that is directly forming from the radicle. Clear. Then option C, radish. So, radish is also showing the formation of root directly from the radicle. Option D, beet. So, beet is also showing the root formation directly from radicle. So, among the option, one of the plant that is not actually forming the roots directly from the radicle is dahlia. Clear. So, the correct answer is option A. Then our fourth question is, a root cap is usually absent in the roots of. So, the plants which are growing in the soil, they actually consist of root cap. Clear. So, the tip region of root is actually having tender tissues. So, for giving protection to those tender tissues, root will be having root cap. Clear. So, which of the plants they are not actually growing in the soil, they does not consist of root cap because they no need to penetrate towards the soil region, so that they does not consist of root cap. Yes, let us look into the option which plants does not having root cap. Option A, hydrophytes. So, hydrophytes are the plants they are growing in water. So, because of their habitat, that means because of they are growing in the water, they does not consist of root cap. Clear. Then option B, epiphytes. So epiphytes are the plants, they are growing on the surface of another plant. Clear. So epiphytes are also not growing in soil, so they does not consist of root cap. Then option C, parasites. So parasitic plants are actually absorbing nutrition from the another plant. So they are also not growing in the soil, so they are also not consist of root cap. Then option D, all of this. Clear. So all the given plants in the three options, they are not actually growing in soil, so that the correct answer is all of this. Then the fifth question is as an example of negatively geotrophic roots. So what is mean by this negatively geotrophic roots? So negatively geotrophic is nothing but growing of root towards the upward region of soil. So if you say most of the plants, their root will be growing towards the region of soil, because root need to absorb water and mineral from the soil, so that the root always grow towards the soil region. So such roots are called as positively geotrophic. In some of the plant, to get atmospheric this thing to get gases from the atmosphere, and for absorbing nitrogen from the atmosphere, for some or the other region, in some plants we can see the growing of roots towards the upward region of soil. So such roots are called as negatively geotrophic roots. Clear. So let us look into the option. Option A, coralloid roots of cycas. So coralloid roots of cycas is actually showing symbiotic association with the cyanobacteria. So because of this kind of association, the roots started growing towards the upward region of soil, and it helps in the absorption of nitrogen from the atmosphere. Clear. Then option B, nematophores of mangroves. So mangrove plants are actually habitat to seashores. So in the seashore, the root does not get the sufficient amount of oxygen, because soil consists of salt, so it will actually destruct the supply of oxygen towards the roots. So the roots will grow towards the upward region, vertically it will grow towards upward, and it will expose to the atmosphere, and from the atmosphere the roots started absorbing oxygen. Clear. So for this function, the small pores present on the roots are very helpful. So those pores are called as nematophores. Clear. So nematophores are the kinds of roots, they can be seen in the mangrove plants. So these kinds of roots are also negatively geotrophic in nature. Then option C, assimilatory roots of trapa. So in the trapa plant, the roots are actually growing towards the region of soil. Then option D, both A and B. So the correct answer is A and B, because coralloid roots as well as nematophores are negatively geotrophic roots. So the correct one is option D. Then the sixth question, which of the following is a root parasite? So parasitic organisms or the plants, they depends on the another plant completely, because they are not having photosynthetic pigments to prepare their own food material, so that they are completely dependent on another plant for getting food. Clear. So let us see the option. Option A, Rafflesia. So Rafflesia is a kind of parasitic plant. So depending on the site and duration, the parasite may be root parasite and it may be stem parasite. Rafflesia is a plant, it will form largest flower. Clear. So this plant is totally parasitic to root. Clear. It is called as a root parasite. Then option B, Loranthus. So Loranthus is a stem parasitic plant. Then option C, Casita. So Casita is also a parasitic to stem. And option D, Utricularia. So Utricularia is an insectivorous plant. Clear, right? It is a kind of aquatic plant. So among the four options, the correct one is option A, because Rafflesia is a root parasitic plant. Yes, the seventh question is reserve food is mainly found in. So plants are actually storing the food material in the form of starch. Clear. So in which part of the plant we can see that reserve food material? So in some of the plant stem will store the food by modifying, and in some root modification we can see there also the root is get modified for the storage of food material. Clear, right? So like this different modification can be seen in different kinds of plants for the storage of food. Yes, let us see the option A, underground stems. So underground stems are actually formed to store the food material in some of the plant. We can take the best example of potato. So potato is an underground stem modified to store food. Then option B, underground modified tap roots. So in some cases the tap root is also get modified for the storage of food material. We can take the best example of carrot, then beetroot. So these are the modified taproot for storage of food. Then option C, underground modified adventitious roots. So in some of the plants we can see adventitious roots are also get modified for the storage of food material. Clear? So all these options what we have seen, that means option A to till C, all are the modified different part of the plant for storage of food material. Then option D, all of this. So the correct one is option D. Then the eighth question, epiphyllous buds serves the function of. So here you have to understand the meaning of epiphyllous buds. So from where this bud will form in the plant. So epiphyllous buds are the kinds of adventitious buds. Clear? So they are not originated from the tip of stem or from the axil of leaf. They are usually develops from the margin of leaf. So you can take the best example of bryophyllum. So in the bryophyllum we can notice the presence of small buds. They are arises from the margin of the leaves. Clear? So these buds are nothing but epiphyllous buds. Clear, right? So epiphyllous buds are actually formed for reproduction, for continuing their generation. These kinds of bud will form. So this is a kind of vegetative propagation. Clear? Let us look into the option A, respiration. So the purpose of this bud formation is not for respiration. Then option B, nutrition. They are not nutrition in function. Option C, reproduction. So the correct one is option C. Option D, absorption. So epiphyllous buds are not absorbing nutrition. Clear? So the correct one is option C. The ninth question, from sugar cane, sugary sap is obtained from. So sugar cane is actually used for the extraction of sugar. Clear? So for that they will use the stem of sugar cane. So by grinding that they will extract the sugar. So from where we will actually get the sugar from the stem, where that sugary sap is get stored. So let us look into the option A, fruit. So fruit is not present in the stem region. Clear, right? So this is not the answer. Option B, root. So they are not actually using the root for the extraction of sugary sap. Then option C, cell sap. What is mean by the cell sap? So cell sap is nothing but a fluid content present in the cell. So the fluid content will be having lots of solute in it. So that solute will be sugary in taste. So that the cell sap will be storing sugary sap in the sugar cane. Clear? So the correct answer is cell sap. Then option D, leaf. So leaf is not using in the plant for the extraction of sugar. Clear, right? So the correct one is C. So the cell sap present in the stem region that will be storing sugary sap. Then the 10th question, epipetalous stamens are found in. So what is the meaning of epipetalous? Epipetalous is nothing but attachment of stamen filament with the petals. Clear, right? So when the filament of stamen is get attached with the petals, that condition is known as epipetalous. So epipetalous stamens are found in which kind of plants? So let us say the option A, cruciferae. So Cruciferae members are not showing epipetalous stamens. Option B, Solanaceae. So in the Solanaceae, we have the best example of plants, chili plant, then brinjal. So if you see the flowers, the condition of stamen in the flower is epipetalous. That means the filament of stamen is get attached with the petals. Clear? Then option C, Liliaceae. So Liliaceae plants are showing the attachment of stamen with the tepals, not with the petals. So that the condition in Liliaceae is epiphyllous, not epipetalous. Then option D, Mimosaceae. Mimosaceae is nothing but the members coming under the Fabaceae family. So here also we are not having the epipetalous condition. So the correct answer is option B, because the members of Solanaceae family, they are showing epipetalous stamens.